What we have here is a better rat trap. This live trap is called the Ratinator. It was quite expensive with tax. I think it was like 62. It was 50 something at Tractor Supply, and with tax it ended up being about 62. And it's proven very useful. As you can see, all the rats in it there. I have hauled off a lot of rats that were caught around the rescue since last year using this thing. In one night, I trapped about 18. There's about a dozen in here right now, and this is over two nights. I just kept the few in there that I caught on the first night. Night before last, I caught a few, 2 or 3 maybe, and just left them in there and give them food and water, and then ended up catching a bunch more on the next night. Because what happens is in a live trap, you tend to catch more if you have a few live ones in there, because if you're feeding and watering them, other rats will come because they want to know what's attracted all the other rats. They figure, well, these rats that are in this cage thingy here, they know something that I don't, so they'll tend to go in there into the same trap where there are some others, from what I found. Ended up getting about 12 of them over the last couple of nights, and mind you, this is outside. These are White Bellied Roof Rats. We have some big females in there, so I'm glad to be relocating them. But we have these guys really prevalent around here in this part of Texas, and they live outside. They live in the trees, just like squirrels. But these little buggers do come down, and at night, if I go out into the backyard, you can hear them running around up there in the trees at night and jumping onto the roof. They're roof rats. They make noise running on the tin of my roof, and then they're jumping into the trees. They chase each other and fight just like squirrels do. So I'll hear them fussing, and crying at each other. They're chasing each other in the trees and across the rooftop and everything at night. They're real comfortable in the trees. They are pretty much the squirrels of the rat world. But what they do is they come down, and they're creeping into my turtle housing, and they want to eat the leftover turtle scraps and the bird seed, and then they're getting in the washroom and everything. I don't have them in the house, but they'll get into the storage building out back, and I can't keep any turtle food or any other kind of food or anything out there, because they just get into it and they tear things up. But what I'm most afraid of is them getting after my little baby box turtles. That some of them are just real little, about $half size. I've got screen mesh over the top of their house that they're living in, but these rats, they're already, they're chewing through it, because they're trying to get in there to get any scraps of food that the baby turtles left behind, and I don't want my baby box turtles chewed to death. I am catching as many of these little guys as I can and bringing them out here to the park. I'm out here at Lucy Park. I'm down here by the river, so I'm gonna let them go right down here. It's a hard thing deciding where to release rats and mice, unless it's like a cotton rat, or an actual field mouse, something that actually lives out in the fields and everything. If it's like a roof rat like this that normally lives near human habitation, you can't really relocate them way out in the country and really expect them to survive. But in a park where there is some human traffic, and we're on the bike path here, and every so often there's there's picnic tables, there's trash cans, and benches where people sit down and they eat, and they'll leave food refuse, and there's the trash barrels all throughout here. There's opportunity, plenty of opportunity for them to find food out here, and plenty of trees they can live in, and water source right here. Can't just take them to the end of the street and let them go necessarily close to the neighborhood, because they would just end up, you know, somebody else's yard or garage or their attic or whatever, and then they would get, somebody else would deal with them by lethal means. But you can't really, I can't just take them way out into the country, so we're going to let them go here in the park. And you know, there was an initial sticker shock of you know, buying this cage. I actually didn't the first time I saw it. You know, I left and tried to use some of the other live traps I had that the rats were kind of getting wise to, and they wouldn't go in them anymore after they kind of figured it out. This one, they haven't seemed to have been able to figure this one out so well. This one's designed pretty well. It's just got a little door here, you know, that they step on, and then it pivots, and there goes the first one. And they go into it, and I've had a couple of rats that figured out how to get out. They figured out how to push the door down and get out, but most of them don't figure it out. So they're just all going in different directions. But I've been able to really save the lives of so many rats because I was able to live capture them with this trap instead of resorting to lethal means, because it got to where the other traps I had, they were smaller, they weren't as well designed. The rats seemed to have figured it out, and I wasn't catching any more in it, and it was really getting to the point where I had to use something else. I didn't want to resort to you know, lethal means, but nothing else was working till I got this thing. And like I said, I balked at it, at buying the thing because of the price, and then I figured, well, let me just try it out and see if it's, you know, works out. And if not, I've got 30 days or whatever. I can always take it back. And it just worked out to, it worked so well that I went ahead and decided to keep it. I've probably caught 3 or 4 dozen in this thing now. It's pretty well paid for itself, and just as easy as that. What you can do, it's got a door right here in the top where this area is screened off, and you can put some bait food down in there and continually attract the rodents, and then they're not able to consume it. But what I do is I actually just put food in here, and then so that they get a meal, they get food and water while they're in there, and then I just, you know, replenish it. That's intended so that the rats don't consume the food, so that you can continue to capture, you know, more rats. But I just go ahead and let them eat it, and then I'm monitoring, you know, how many rats I'm catching all the time. But this is how it works. Just like that. It's like a one-way thing. But I've had a few of them that were real smart, that apparently, you know, I had them caught in the thing, and then I checked on it again a little while later, and they were gone. So they apparently figured out how to, with their little hands, pull that door down and get out. For the most part, almost all the rats that go in there aren't able to figure it out and get out. It's really paid for itself.